Hi everyone. Today I am going to teach you performance analysis of algorithms. I have chosen this topic because the derivation of time complexity for the given algorithm is very important in many examinations like state eligibility test, even in the NET exam, national eligibility test, even in the GATE exams. Not only in the exams, even in the interviews also, the students were asked to derive the time complexity for the given algorithm. I know in engineering colleges many students will be simply by-hearting the time complexities for the various algorithms. They will by-heart the time complexities, worst case time complexity, average case time complexity, and best case time complexity for many standard algorithms. But in fact, the student can derive the time complexity by looking at the given algorithm there itself. So how to derive the time complexity by looking at the algorithm which was given in the examination? Today we are going to discuss. I feel this will be very important class. If you listen to this class in future, whenever you see any algorithm, you can derive the time complexity on your own. Okay guys, let us see. Before you derive the time complexity for any given algorithm, first you must know the basic issues related to time complexity. So now the point is the performance of any algorithm will be evaluated using the two things. One is time complexity, another one is the space complexity. So time complexity simply the amount of CPU time used by the program to run to its completion. So that is the time complexity. What is space complexity? Complexity means the amount of space used by the algorithm or the program to run to its completion is the space complexity. However, we won't focus much more on space complexity because nowadays we have huge amount of memory in the computers. Even we are getting the memory at the cheaper cost, so the programmer also need not focus much on the space complexity. But however, the response time of any application is always very important. So the discussion will be much more on the time complexity. The developer is always expected to develop a program that will take the less time for delivering the output. So what is time complexity? Yeah, we come to know the total amount of CPU time being used by the program to run to its completion. That's fine. So this time complexity can be again further, it can be further divided into two parts. One is this compilation time or compile time. Second one is runtime or execution time. So what is compile time? Is the amount of time taken to compile the program. In fact, the compile time does not depends on CPU, because CPU won't get involved in compiling the program. And moreover, once if you compile the program, you can run it n number of times, provided if code is not modified. So that is the reason why. So we won't consider the compile time. But runtime means this is the actual CPU time being used by the program to run to its completion. So whenever you are focusing on time complexity, the runtime or the execution time of a program is very important. So what are the various factors that impact the runtime of a program? Let us see. So the runtime of a program will be really, let us see what are the various factors that impact the runtime. So one thing is, because program is getting executed by the CPU, so runtime depends upon the CPU, and also runtime depends upon the workload on the system in which you are running your program, workload, and also input size of the problem, input size of the program or algorithm, and then the number of applications currently getting executed, number of applications that you are currently parallelly executing along with your algorithm. Now let us see one after another. So CPU means what type of CPU, whether it is single core CPU, one CPU, or you are using multi-core CPU, say n number of CPUs, and CPU speed also. What is the processor speed, in the sense whether it is say 16 bit or 32 bit or 64-bit processor you are using. So based on that, the execution time varies. So if you are using high-end processor, you can compile and execute the C program in a less time. So if you are using low-end processor, it will be taking much time. And then workload, whether it is a standalone system or a server. It can be a server also. If it is server, it will be handling many client requests. So what type of system it is where you are running the program, that also affect the time complexity. And then input size of the algorithm. What is the input size? Input size normally we specify as n. So what is the input size of the problem? Then number of applications. Parallelly, when you are executing your C program, you might be executing other applications in the program. The other applications also will impact the time complexity. Now, the runtime will be measured using all these things. But in fact, as a user, so you cannot focus on all these things. One thing is CPU, and then workload, and then number of applications you are running. So what type of CPU somebody is using? No, we cannot measure it. We cannot come to know, because somebody will be executing somewhere else in the world in his own system. The algorithm they will be getting executing. Algorithm will be getting executed. Now workload also we cannot estimate. Now what we have done is, instead of going for the what type of CPU he or she is using, or what is the type of system, or what is the workload on the system, we won't consider, and number of applications also we won't consider. We want the time complexity of an algorithm to be independent on CPU you are using, the workload which is there on the system, and also number of applications parallelly getting executed along with your algorithm. So we want to be our time complexity independent on these three. So in such case, we will be focusing on only input size of the problem is the only the issue which we will be focusing on in order to derive the time complexity of a given algorithm. So in order to make the time complexity independent of CPU workload and number of applications, and I want to make it dependent on input size of the problem. So you want to make the algorithm time complexity only dependent on input size of the problem, then you can in fact you can measure the time complexity or the performance of the given algorithm with respect to the different developers. Okay guys, how do you make the time complexity of a given algorithm dependent on only input size of the algorithm? Now let us see. Okay guys, now let us see how do we make the time complexity of a given algorithm, or I can say runtime time complexity, the total runtime needed for the algorithm. How do we make only it is dependent on the input size of the problem? Only the algorithm, now we are going to see the runtime time complexity is only dependent on only input size of the problem. So for this, there are scientific notations in the literature of computer science and engineering. They are called as asymptotic notations. The scientific notations are called as asymptotic notations. We have three notations: big O notation, big omega notation, and big theta notation. In fact, this big O notation is representing the worst case time complexity. This is worst case time complexity, and big omega is best case time complexity, and big theta is average case time complexity. Fine. So what they are telling is, so before we go further discuss or explore these notations, let us try to understand the time complexity in terms of input size of the given problem n. So I say the time complexity of a program, say let it be T of n. Time complexity of a program, say T of p. T of p, it can be expressed as a function of that process the n elements, because the problem size is n. The T stands for time complexity here, and p stands for the program. So it is expressed as f of n. So f of n means it is a function which processes the n elements. That is the time taken to process the n elements by the given function is the time complexity of the given program. Now I can say this suffix you can write as this as Tn of p. Tn of n is the input size of the problem. Tn of p, time complexity of a program of input size n, can be expressed as a function f of n. I can say that now now this can be written as this f of n. Now in each notation how it will be, let us try to understand. If it is in the big O notation, big O notation is represents the time complexity f of n if it is less than or equal to some constant multiplied by g of n, then the time complexity of a given problem, this I can say Tn of p can be written as big O of g of n. This can be written as big O of time complexity of a program of input size n can be written as big O of g of n. So what is the g of n? How do we get the g of n? How do we get the f of n? We will see later. Now in the similar sense, we will see that there exists c comma n naught. I will tell what is c and n naught. And in the best case, the f of n is always greater than or equal to c into g of n. Then the time complexity is expressed as in big omega notation. In big omega notation, the time complexity, the time complexity of input size n of a given program can be represented as the big O notation of simply g of n. In fact, this will be best case time complexity. So then in the big theta notation, simply there exist two functions in big theta notations. There will be a c1 of g of n is less than or equal to f of n is less than or equal to c2 of g of n. Then the time complexity is represented as time complexity of the problem size n for the given program or algorithm could be represented as theta of g of n. For all these three notations, now what we can see, the new thing is there exists a constant c such that c is always 1 less than or equal to c less than n. There exists a constant, and also there exists a n such that the n is always greater than or equal to a positive integer n naught. So these are the conditions. We will see what are these now. So for all these three notations, the constant c and there exists a n naught where n greater than n naught is a positive integer such that the constant c is less than 1 and less than or equal to 1 and also less than n, in between 1 and n. Then these notations are called as scientific or asymptotic notation to represent the time complexity. The problem or the point is most of the students don't know how to calculate this f of n is the first thing. How do you do that? Then how do you get the g of n? So if you can know that getting this f of n and g of n, that's more enough. You can write the time complexity for any given problem. Okay guys, now let us see how to get this f of n and g of n with respect to the big O notation. So I will be focusing only on big O notation, means we are trying to find out the worst case time complexity of a given problem. Okay guys. Now let us see guys, the big O notation graphically also can be represented like this. So we come to know that f of n is always less than or equal to some constant multiplied by the g of n. Of course we are going to derive this f of n and g of n right now, but see the graphical representation of this big O notation could be like this. The f of n is represented in the green color and the g of n is represented in the black color. Now see, if you see these curves, after all these are the linear mathematical functions. So in the two-dimensional matrix, two-dimensional space, I am representing this problem. So if see this, you can take this as x-axis and this you could take as a y-axis. So as input size of the given problem increases, the rate of growth of time or the time complexity also increases. For example, you see, if you want to find given element in the array of 10 elements, so there is a time, some time will be taken by the CPU. But if n is equal to 10, CPU consume CPU some time of the CPU. If n is equal to 1000, in order to find the given element in the list of 1000 elements, CPU time definitely will be getting increased. As n value is say 10,000, CPU time will be more, because you have to search 10,000 elements in the worst case. So that's what. So on x-axis will be represented as input size of the problem, and y-axis the time complexity is simply rate of growth of time with respect to the input size of the given problem. Now the concept is we have to find this f of n. The target is in the next in the couple of minutes we will be discussing how to find this f of n, which is dependent only in only input size of the problem. We want to consider the CPU, what type of CPU, workload on the CPU, number of applications parallelly you are running. We want to consider. I want to make it make f of n as only dependent on the size, and I have to also find the constant c for the given algorithm, and also I have to find out this n naught. N naught is a positive integer. It is a positive integer, and then we can get the g of n. So once if you could able to get this f of n and try to find the value c and n naught, then you can get the g of n. Once if you get the g of n, simply the time complexity of a given program you can represent as or it is a f of n, it can be represented as big O of g of n. Now let us take one example, then we can come to know how to calculate this f of n constant and n naught. Then it becomes very easy for you. You can do the same process which I am going to do right now for any given problem. Okay, let us see with an example. Okay guys, let us see. I have taken an example. I would like to perform some of the given array elements. I have written almost complete program, not an algorithm. Almost 99% you can convert this as a program, not an issue. Now how do you perform the sum of the given array elements? So I have written the logic here. Now the target is we have to find out the runtime needed for this program. So I can say it is a time complexity. When I say time complexity, remember it is a runtime taken by the program. So we want to consider the compilation time. Now what we will do is, in fact we want this derivation of time complexity only dependent on input value, input size. So because of that reason, so what happens, the time complexity, how do you now you can just, when you evaluate the time complexity, remember that. So the CPU time we would like to calculate. So where the CPU time will be involved in the given algorithm. So remember, for all operators, which are there in the given algorithm, there will be an involvement of CPU. Arithmetic operators, relational operators, logical operators, bitwise operators, special operators, logical, this assignment operators, increment and decrement operators. Wherever there is an operation using any operator in any programming language, there must be an involvement of CPU, because CPU only will be doing the operation. So that is the reason why the every operation will be considered as 1 unit of CPU time it will be using. The every operation that you do in the algorithm, assuming that it will be taking 1 unit of CPU time. See, operation will be using 1 unit of CPU time. 1 unit of CPU time. Because we don't know what is the unit. It could be a millisecond, nanosecond, microsecond. So I want it to be even in independent on the time. So 1 unit of time. 1 unit of time could be milliseconds, nanoseconds or microseconds, not an issue. But see how you try to count the number of CPU units needed for this program to run to its completion. So if that is the case, what I can do is, now try to understand what are the operations involved here. So sum is equal to 0. Initialization, definitely involvement of CPU is there. So this count is, I can write it as a 1, because 1 unit of CPU time is needed for that. Now in the for loop, if you see I is equal to 0, 1 unit of CPU time. Now I less than n, how many times the condition will be checking? So I think even at I is equal to 0 and even I is equal to n, so n plus 1 times the CPU will be getting involved. I plus how many times it will be incremented? n times for this logic. Now sum is equal to sum plus a of I. So here is arithmetic operation. So how many times? N times. And then followed by the, you see the assignment operator. This assignment operator also how many times? N times. N times it will be happens. So n units of CPU time will be used for it. Now return sum will be executed one time. So the time complexity for the given algorithm could be f of n, or we said this as a time complexity of size n for the given program P is equal to written as number of CPU, total number of CPU. I can say that, how do you say, the number of CPU units of time needed for the completion of this program. So for sum is equal to 0, 1 unit of CPU time, so n plus 1 unit of CPU time. So total number if you see, so 1, n plus 1, n, 1, n, if you count again this n, this will be 4n plus 4. So the 4n plus 4 is actually the number of units of CPU time needed to complete this program. For example, say 1 unit of time, 1 CPU unit of time, if it is 1 milliseconds, then what happens? Then 1 milliseconds means 4 into 1 milliseconds means 8 milliseconds will be the actual time taken for to complete this algorithm. Then how do you get the g of n? In fact, f of n is, we got f of n. The target is we have to get the g of n. How do you get this g of n? So I want to express this f of n as big O of something, big O of g of n. So how do you get this g of n? The next target is getting this g of n. So how do you get? It's a trial and error method actually. So I have 4n plus 4. This 4n plus 4, I have to found a upper bound function for this less than or equal to c, a constant multiplied by the g of n. In fact, I will be taking the value of c as 5 for this given problem using trial and error method. Guys, now g of n as n. The constant c is equal to 5 here. G of n is n. Now n naught, there will be n naught where n greater than n naught means I will be considering that say 4. Now you see the 4n plus 4 I can write is always less than or equal to 5n, where constant c is equal to 5. Now g of n is n. Fine. Then n naught value, n naught means n greater than 4. Let us see whether it is true or not. If you substitute the value 4, 5 into n, 5 into 4, it is 20. Is 20, say 4n plus 4 is now 16 plus 4, it is also 20. Is 20 less than or equal to 20? Yes, it is true. That's fine. If n is equal to 5, this becomes 25. Is 25 less than or equal to, n is equal to 5, this will be 20 plus 4, 24. Is 24 is less than or equal to 25? It is true. So, for n value greater than 4, now if g of n is equal to n, there is a constant c is equal to 5, where this 4n plus 4 is lower bounded by the function g of n is equal to n. So that because of that reason, now you can define this f of n time complexity of a given problem Tn of p is equal to big O of n. Big O of n. What does it mean? It is a worst case time complexity, in fact, because actually the function is phi n, but we have discarded the constant value, because in the notation we were telling, big O notation says that f of n is always less than or equal to some constant multiplied by c into g of n. Okay guys, now let us take one more example, try to understand. So how do you, for example, randomly if given for the given algorithm, how do you get the time complexity? For example, if you get f of n is equal to, say, because you come to know how to derive this f of n. Now for example, say f of n is equal to 4n square 2n plus log n and say n cube. Then how do you get the time complexity of this algorithm. Now what the in order to get the time complexity, there is a one shortcut method in the big O notation. The first thing is ignore the constants. Ignore the constants. Then your f of n will be n square n log n plus n cube. Say for example, constants in the sense it's not like that. See, wait. Say 4. Now ignoring constants, this will be 4n square plus 2n plus log n plus n cube. So I have ignored this constant. Then the second step is ignore the coefficients. Guys, ignore the coefficients. Then what happens? N square plus n plus log n and plus n cube. Consider only higher order term. Consider only higher order term. Then what is the higher order term? Among the n square, n, log n and n cube. So n cube is the higher order term. So then you can write this time complexity f of n of the given function as big O of n cube, because we are considering only this. In fact, this is the worst case time complexity. The worst case time complexity could be more than the n cube also, but there will be a constant here, but we are not representing the constant, keeping that constant number of this n cubes also same, because CP is very fast in calculating the operations. Okay guys, this is for the given f of n. This is the way of getting the time complexity, worst case time complexity in the big O notation. What is the point here is, the challenging issue is, for the given algorithm you have to calculate first f of n. F of n simply in algorithmic notation, f of n is simply what is this f of n? It is a step count. Step count related to the involvement of the CPU. So for every operation there will be involvement. You try to get the total step count of the given algorithm, then that will be the f of n. Once if you get the f of n, in trial and error method, you try to calculate the g of n, which is closely upper bound for the f of n. The trial and error method is simply finding constant value and also n naught value, positive integer. Okay guys, I hope you might have enjoyed this class. If you are careful enough, I feel definitely you can do or you can derive the time complexity for any given algorithm. This, simply remember, this is the worst case time complexity. You can also do the same process for the big omega notation and big theta notations. Thank you guys.